Among all of the things added to the game with the New England Mountains update was the backfilling of species onto old reserves, and in my opinion, one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest, is the Pronghorn being added to Rancho Del Arroyo, and as we can see, we just so happen to spawn rather close to, it looks like an entire herd of them, so we've got a fairly desert camo themed loadout today, and we'll be using the 308 for our Pronghorn. Now, I think one cool thing is terrain like this hides them a lot better than places on SRP, so when we shoot one Pronghorn buck, it's not going to necessarily be a guarantee that we got the best one. I think in this case we did, but we're really going to have to be watching as they take off to try to make sure that there wasn't something else hidden in the desert brush. Now, they do have a drink time on this map. I believe it starts at 1800. It's very late, and we're going to try to hunt them mostly not in that drink time. We'll maybe check it out at the end, but I love the concept of looking for Pronghorn in terrain like this. I felt like from the moment Rancho was released, it was missing that. Now we finally have it. It's honestly amazing this hadn't been added earlier than it was. They just fit in so perfect on this map. A gold Pronghorn to start, 80.45, actually way above the gold requirement. I didn't think he was going to be that big. Perhaps a good sign for things to come here, but 223 meter 308 double lung shot. I think we should have a lot of success with the 308 and Pronghorn today. That tends to do a lot of that, drop it in their tracks, so hopefully that continues. It just does so much for this part of the map, because typically around here every now and then you get whitetail, but you're mostly looking for stuff that just you can't see in this brush. It's bobcats and coyotes and javelina, but just to have an animal that's tall enough you can spot them a little bit better, I think it's going to make hunting this particular area in the north just a lot more fun. And you may be wondering, by the way, why I didn't do this hunt earlier, because it was the very thing I talked about when the backfilling was initially announced, and the reason was, there was some issues with Rancho until that hotfix came out. There were, anybody that had left off on Rancho was crashing on launch of the game, they couldn't even play, and I believe if you did go to Rancho, it would crash your game and sometimes corrupt your game, so I waited to make sure the hotfix got all that solved, and fortunately, we're good to go here today and chase these Pronghorns. So that'll be number 2. I don't think it's quite as good as the first. I am looking forward, though, to seeing like one big one. I don't mind if it's a 4 or a 5. I just want to see one that goes upwards of maybe 90. And I'd like to think if we focus on them, we'll have a shot at it. But almost a 70 score, but about 5 shy of gold there. Now, we're not only going to be after the Pronghorn today, although they will be the focus. I'm kind of hoping a rooster's going to come out here somewhere. It's possible at some days we've shot the rooster, but I was curious to see if they would kind of flush like we've seen on New England and on Quattro so far. And in that case, they didn't. And what I wonder is if it's related to cover, because on Rancho, they're never that far away from some brush or something to kind of run to. And that may encourage them to kind of hang around longer and do that rather than just flushing from like 100 meters away. So as we're going along here and targeting things like the new Pronghorn, it'll be interesting to see what the pheasants do when we encounter them. But little bonus gold bobcat there, 25.5. And we should have another hen down somewhere. Indeed we do, and that kind of allowed us to cycle through almost entirely through our loadout. The only other thing we have is the 22. But I had a feeling we'd maybe see some Pronghorn down here. It's kind of just terrain that fits them. I don't know that that's a solo male necessarily, but we'll take that shot because he was all the way to alarmed. Got turkeys down in here, the pheasants are calling. It just, I don't think the Pronghorn have made that big a difference in terms of like how often you run into animals on this map, but it certainly does kind of feel like that right now. It just, the map feels like it's fuller. And I think that's obviously a good thing. We're just gonna kill everything apparently today. Got a turkey in there too. I think though, another silver Pronghorn probably. Same score as the last one in fact. And our turkey, which we just about insta-killed, it made it a decent distance, but it was kind of just falling out of the sky the entire time. 4.42 was a lung shot. Everything's just turning up good for us right now. You know, we're nowhere near a big enough sample size to say anything definitively, but here we are again with the same thing. After a lot of time on those other maps, where rarely would you get back-to-back pheasants that would end up hiding. So, I don't know, maybe it's a map thing, because I really thought that there was actually a change to the pheasants themselves. I thought that they were made to flush from further, because the kind of meta way to hunt them on Rancho was run around, wait for a call, sprint in that direction, pick up their tracks, and figure out where they went. That kind of seems to still work here. On the other maps, though, not so much. I do have to say, though, it's rather nice we get a bonus kill almost every time we shoot something in this area right now. Another max weight estimate level 2, 4.35 for him. You know, at some stage, though, a trend starts to become a little bit more than that. It's really looking like that's just the way it works on this map. Pheasants are just running for cover instead of flushing from forever away. When it comes to the whole idea of still looking for a rare rooster pheasant, I thought that maybe Quadro or Hirschfelden could be the place to go, and I've not tried Hirschfelden yet. I don't think Quadro is going to be it. Coming back here to Rancho and comparing, it's just far more consistent if you do encounter a rooster pheasant that you actually get to take it. It felt like, to a degree, Rancho was kind of up in the air as to whether there was going to be a lot of point in coming back here, but between the Pronghorn and just the map feeling a lot more alive now, and quite honestly, it may remain the best pheasant map. I wouldn't be shocked if we're still spending a fair bit of time here. Speaking of the Pronghorn, I had a feeling they might be down here too. That's not saying much, they seem to be kind of everywhere. But we hadn't been all the way down in the southwest, and it's looking like there's at least maybe one herd around here. I kind of hope it's not just the one, but gotta be honest, I'm not seeing much else. We'll probably go ahead and try to take him, because one or two more steps and he's pretty well out of view. Now we can look and see if anything else runs off. He may have been on his own, though. This is another spot, kind of like the north. The terrain kind of gets more like that underbrush, cactuses, and stuff like that, and I'm hoping to maybe move through a little bit of that. I think we'll go down this road. I really like to hunt pheasants down there, and we'll see what we encounter. Maybe there's pronghorn down there too. But then I think we'll swing back up through here and go through some of this stuff in this direction. But as for this guy, level 2, gonna be probably a silver. 48, barely made silver, but he got there. Somewhere in here is a potential decent pheasant. He's only a level 2, but we've barely made it anywhere. And in this case, I wouldn't be shocked if they were actually hiding from the shot. Would be nice if they would actually take off. This is the complete opposite of what we've been seeing. I find that sometimes works. If you get ahead of them, they seem more likely to just take off, but unfortunately, it feels like 100 max would estimate pheasants in a row without a level 3. Man, still got close. This is also what happens all the time. When we were doing like a consistent pheasant grind, as we have another rooster somewhere over there, we would get a bunch of big 2s that would be within a couple decimal points of diamond, but can never quite crack it. One thing I kind of have noticed, and it may be just to allow the pronghorn to be spread out a little more across the map, but lots of solo males. Our first level 4 here, and taking a 300-meter shot on a pronghorn, kind of like what often happens in real life, and go figure, not too far off the road, but at least that one should be a guaranteed gold. I think he'll be our best thus far. But regardless of the range, the 308 doing what it does and dropping the pronghorn in their tracks, this guy I think should be, what, mid-80s maybe? 80.7. Barely any better than the level 3 gold we had. I think it was like 80.5 for that. Even still though, 303 meters and a double lung drop shot. And let's see, we got one down in here, maybe there's more. So I decided to kind of wrap up here. We'd go ahead and try pronghorn drink time. And they do, of course, share that drink time with the Mexican bobcat. And it turns out, a lot of the places where I'm thinking we may see pronghorn are actually really good for bobcat. There's a bunch down here. Quite a number of females we've seen, and a level 6 male there. So we'll see if we can actually find a spot anywhere to just catch pronghorn drinking and just sitting still. If we can't, if we gotta track him or shoot him on the run, we'll do what we have to do. But, you know, I thought that the Mexican bobcat were getting their drink time taken away at one time. I believe it was only just moved back. It used to be early in the morning, got moved to the evening, and I had all but forgotten that that was a thing. But coming out here looking for pronghorn, they are very much still out and about. But this guy, one of apparently 2 level 6s, we saw the other one run off, is a gold at 23. and we'll probably leave the other one for hunting pressure's sake. And finally, we get to see what we're after, and immediately it ends up spooking. I don't know if that was due to a bobcat. Did we get that? It felt like we'd have been really close. I thought I saw an impact though, like maybe we hit a tree or something. I'm not sure, so we'll go and try to find an ore. Maybe we did get him. It may have been too far back as the likely intestines, but at least it'll be a halfway decent pronghorn on a rancho. It's been pretty tough. Just about anywhere we go, if we are hunting their drink time, bobcats seem to be there too. And I don't know that we necessarily would need to hunt their drink time, but I figured until we kind of learn where to encounter them during the daylight, this would be the best chance at actually finding a decent one. Maybe made it like 60 meters or so. And it's just nice to have seen a decent one on Rancho. I'm really looking forward to this kind of sight in the daylight, but for now this will do an 88 score. We were just a touch too far back. 208 meters. If we had pulled the trigger a quarter of a second earlier, we'd have been all good. But we had a couple of golds, a couple really not that much smaller than this. And just nice to see a halfway decent one out here. It's looking like up here in the northwest might be a good spot to chase them around, but between the pheasants and the pronghorn and honestly like all the little bonus kills we were getting, I think we're gonna have to come back here pretty soon and try this again. The more we learn about where to encounter pronghorn in the daylight, I think the even better this will be. And I'm looking forward to the next time, but as for now, that is gonna do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.